Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by our friends at Gateway Buick GMC at LBJ and Jupiter. I know that buying a car can be stressful, but not at Gateway because their slogan is Gateway's Got It. And just what does that mean? Well, it means Gateway's got a wide selection of new Buicks, GMCs, and GM certified used vehicles, all competitively priced. Gateway's got it. In these busy times, you want a car dealer who makes things easy and convenient. Well, guess what? Gateway's got it. When you log on to gatewaybuickgmc.com, look for the Shop, Click, Drive button. This allows you to shop from the comfort of your home, and who doesn't want that? In fact, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, select your vehicle. 2, create your offer. 3, schedule your delivery. And on top of all this, Gateway Buick GMC offers complimentary car washes for life. I can attest to this. So when you want a dealer who has it all, Gateway's got it. You can find them online at gatewaybuickgmc.com or shop in person at LBJ and Jupiter. GMC, we are professional grade. Experience the new Buick. Hey there, and welcome into another episode of The Mom Game. Kind of lost track as to what number this is, but we're still here, so that's a good thing. And super stoked to be joined by my buddy Ian Kinsler, former Texas Ranger, former Detroit Tiger, Angel, Red Sox, Padre.
Did she sneak an extra one in there?
No, I didn't.
She nailed it.
No,
Okay.
I killed it. So Ian, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. We'll be all over the place, which is usually the way I operate, as you're familiar. What have you been doing since retirement?
I don't know. It's been a blur.
How old are your kids now?
So my daughter, Ryan, is 12, and my son, Jack, is 9.
We're old as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
It does. It happens.
It's okay.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit to the end of your career and when you decided to officially call it a day with your very storied Major League Baseball career, 14 seasons in the league. What was that like? How did you come to that decision? Because I'm not a professional athlete, but I imagine that would be one of the hardest decisions to make.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a difficult decision, but you can kind of feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of, the writing's kind of on the wall, and I mean, so my last year was 2019 with the Padres, and I had neck surgery. So I had like a herniated disc in my neck, and they had to do what do they call it when they cut your hip open? The fusion spinal fusion
Anytime
surgery.
you hear fusion, it's like ugh.
On my neck, and that was in August of 19. So I was out August, September, obviously. And then just that off season, like the progression of I had a bunch of weakness in my left arm, and my workouts weren't going the way I wanted to. I was, I just saw the uphill climb to try to get back to being in shape and being able to play at a high level. And, AJ Preller is the general manager there, and me and him have a pretty good relationship. He was with the Rangers when I was there, and he flew to Dallas 2 or 3 times, and we had conversations just about like where my head was at. He was open, I was open, and it all just seemed to work. He offered me, a position in the front office with the Padres, and just my kids, like we just said, my kids are getting older. My wife was getting sick of, logistics.
The grind.
And, logistics and housing and cars and parents and sisters and brothers and everybody traveling. So, it just felt right. And that was it. It wasn't like heart wrenching or anything like that.
That's
it was
good.
just like, that's it. And the last year in San Diego, it's not like I was playing every day. It's not like I was performing that well. There was really nothing that was pulling me the other direction,
Right.
Other than just I love to play baseball. So it wasn't that difficult of a decision, and that was it.
Well, that's good. It's probably good when your body can give you those hints, like, you know what, this is time. This is time to do it, and you were able to get into a off the field kind of role with them at the same time, right? I imagine all of those factors help.
Yeah, you kind of weigh everything, and you kind of being able to stay in baseball. I really like the team, or most of the guys that are still there playing, and some of the other guys that were in San Diego when I was there, they were great. I love the group of guys. I like what AJ. He's very aggressive. Everything's always exciting. He's making moves, so it's a good place to be, and to
Yeah.
stay in baseball it was kind of a goal of mine. And, obviously COVID wiped out.
But aren't you thinking like too, when you did retire and then COVID happened and that whole shit show of a season in 2020, you're like, good timing on my part.
Yeah, it worked out really well. Yeah, it actually worked out really well. Good timing. I knew everybody should just ask me what's going to happen.
There you go.
2020, I've been like, well, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
We're going to be stuck inside.
No one's doing anything.
Yeah.
So what's it been like being at home, dadding so hard, helping Tess?
It's been good. It's been good. It took a little while to get into a rhythm. I mean, you get, you get new routines, and you're so used to for me, I'm so used to just being so scheduled, because my whole life since I was in college, basically, people have told me where to be, where to go, what time, whether it's in the weight room or off-season workouts or getting on a plane and going somewhere new. They just tell you where to go.
Right. And when to be there.
Yeah. And then when you get to the field, everything's written and scheduled, all your times, so it's a constant go. And when I'm sitting around for the first, month of the COVID camp or whatever,
right.
When baseball hadn't started yet.
Right.
I definitely am like, man, I'm worthless. I'm not doing anything.
It probably felt kind of nice.
At times it felt nice.
Yeah.
When you see guys struggling on the field, and then they have to go, they're traveling to another city, and then they got to get up early, the late travel, early, all the things. And, there's times where it's like, man, I'm on the golf course today. This is kind of nice.
Yeah.
But there are times when there's nothing going on, you're just like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I need to do something. And I can only play catch with my son for so long,
So when we didn't travel last year, and we're still not traveling this year, I'm not, I was like, this is a lot of time at home with these people. Wow, it's so great to be with you all the time. So was there a part of you, and too with Tess? I mean, I feel like, with your wife, where that is an adjustment, and you don't realize how much you are on the road, and what all goes on when you're on the road until you live it.
Yeah, definitely realized that I was very narrow-minded.
Yeah,
and didn't realize what was actually going. I mean, but to actually do it and be a part of it changes your perspective. So. Man, I was a stubborn person. I was stubborn and super narrow-minded, and just very selfish when I was playing. I mean, I guess that's kind of what I had to do. I don't know if that's appropriate, but I kind of had to be that way, just stay completely focused on what I was trying to do.
Stay in his zone.
Yeah, I wasn't like Josh Hamilton, just a super freak athlete that could just kind of roll out there and hit homers and do whatever. So I had to be, on top of everything. And I always felt like I was letting down my teammates if I wasn't working hard, or if I wasn't, getting prepared for the season or whatever it was. I always felt like my mind was always a day ahead or 2 days ahead, and just trying to hold up my weight. And I was never really thinking about what my wife was doing while that's going on. Right. I mean, I'm just locked in on my tasks. And then when you have a chance to see it all, it's like, man, she did a lot, for a long time too. She's just traveling, getting on planes, wiping butts, changing diapers,
It's ridiculous.
I mean, yeah.
I think that's awesome to hear you say that, because it is a ton that moms have to do. And it's a different career for you. And for any professional athlete, you really do have to be locked in. And to just have that kind of epiphany, wow, all of this was going on the whole time I was just going to do my job. I can relate a lot. My husband works in hockey, so he's on the coaching staff for the Stars. So he travels, and I'm home doing all the kid stuff. And I try to we wives, we walk a fine line. How much do I want to tell them how much this sucks?
Right.
Because I know they need to be working. I need them to be working. We need that, But it's just a tough balance. So for one, I'm glad you're getting to be home with them now. And I'm sure she's so happy to have you home, and for you to just make that realization, wow, and that's kind of what this show is all about. Momming is hard. Momming is a full-time job, and we created this platform to kind of just talk all about it. And then also what we like to do is bring in the athlete's perspective, especially after retirement. So, so it's just awesome to hear you say all of that. And thanks again, by the way, for coming and just doing this today.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are in Dallas.
Yes.
Okay. And what are your kids doing these days as far as sports, activities, all of that?
Oh my God. So much sports. It's insane. Texas is insane.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I guess California, maybe like Florida.
Yeah.
You know, they do the same kind of things.
Yeah.
But like youth baseball is crazy to me. They play so much and they're so good. Like I just, you know, I watch my son, he's on 10U and he's playing with 10-year-olds and he's 9 and, you know, you watch 8U, you watch 9U, you watch these kids, they're like leading off and stealing and they're playing like legit baseball.
Wow.
And I'm thinking back to when I was 9, like I was not even close to that good. You know, like they're learning so much and it's crazy, but they just play like, they play
All
like
the
5
time.
games a weekend. I'm just like, no wonder why every kid needs surgery at 12.
Right.
You know?
And so, okay, so that's a great, how do you well, first of all, tell us what Ryan's into.
So Ryan rides horses.
Okay.
She started that when she was a little girl and she still kind of hangs on to it. And she found like this perfect spot that she can ride and muck the stalls and, you know, brush the horses and be more involved with the horses rather than just get on their back and ride. So she loves that. That's like one of her favorite things. And she plays soccer. And that's it. I mean, she's getting ready for, she's still trying to come out of her shell.
Yeah.
She's ridiculously athletic. She got all the genes as far as she runs like the wind. She's almost as tall as Tess. I think her feet are bigger than Tess's, my wife. So she's just a big like she's a big girl.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. But I think her getting into this next school is really going to help her come out of her shell. They have to play a sport. You know, she's into soccer. She does the horse thing. And then my son plays whatever's available. Like
So he's like all the sports.
anything and everything. Yeah. Like
Is
he
that-
walks in the door from school and he's like, you want to play catch?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you got to do your homework. And he's
Right.
like, but then can we play catch?
After
And I'm
that.
like,
That's good,
no.
though. That's good he's not
Yeah.
asking about video games. Or is
Well,
that a whole
he'll
other
do that
animal?
next. If I say we're not playing catch, and he's like, well, can we hit? I'm like, no, we can't hit. No, I don't want to. Like, get away from me.
I'm glad I'm not-
babysitter.
I'm glad I'm not
Come
the
hit
only
with
one
this
that
kid.
says that to my kids.
Isn't that weird though? It's like, as a parent, you feel like the second, if they say, Daddy, I want to play, Mommy, I want to play, I really want to do this game, you've got to like, just get your ass off the couch and like force yourself to do it. Or there's this mentality that you're a bad parent. Yeah. And it's not the case. It's not the case at all. So it's good to be able to be real.
It's definitely
with
not
that.
the
Because we
case.
can't do that shit all the time.
No.
We've got other stuff to do.
No, yes. So one of the things I've loved about you ever since I started covering you, I was here for your major league debut. I remember interviewing your dad, Howard. You've always been brutal, like honest. You've always been brutally honest. And I've told this story before that you were the guy.
Uh-oh.
No, but
You know
were
what's
the guy.
coming.
I don't know what's going on. I don't like
No. So, but I mean, I felt like as a woman in the clubhouse, there was a little bit of like kid gloves, just not quite sure how to act, and everybody was really nice and very mannerly, all that kind of stuff. And not saying that you weren't, but you treated me like one of the dudes. Like you were gonna bust my balls, I was gonna bust like that back and forth. To me, like it completely changed the way I did my job because I was able to just kind of let my guard down. And I think that people saw the way you treated me and that it was okay that we were all, we're all just busting
She's one
each
of
other
us.
up.
No
Right.
big deal.
And I don't know. I think I told you that when you retired.
Yeah,
I don't
you
think,
did.
And you didn't. You were like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, totally, dude." And you're like, "Oh, okay." So I mean, but to me, it's a huge compliment to you because it did. I feel like it did change the way I was viewed in that clubhouse, and it changed the way that I like how comfortable I felt doing my job.
Yeah, I can remember some awesome conversations that we had in that little corner over there with Knapp and Mike, and I mean, there's some good times.
Yeah. Do you remember spring training when I was pregnant and it was Knapp's first year and Knapp hadn't met me and I like walked in the back door or something and you were like, no media through the back door. And I was like, shut the fuck up. You're like, why are you so emotional? I'm like, because I'm fucking pregnant. shit. Like we were just like yelling at each other, and Knapp is eating his lunch, and he's like,
where did I land?
On earth
He's like,
is
going back.
happening? And they're like,
Oh my God.
why are they yelling at each other?
No,
And
but that
then
was
he
real
became
though.
like the same way, right? Like then he fell right into.
Of course, yeah.
into
It didn't
that
take
same
long
thing.
for Nat, but yeah, I just remember being like, holy shit, what's happening here?
Yeah, that's how it was though. It was great. I mean, we just had a great relationship, and honestly, like, I think Michael had a lot to do with just making me comfortable with the media, because I wasn't right next to him, and he was the guy that always stood up after the game and took all the questions. And I respected that. I never got to that point in my career because I was just too emotional. Like I was just emotional, and I got angry all the time. So I couldn't do that. But Mike was just so steady, and he was always answering questions, and the way that he treated you and the way that he treated Evan, really you two, were constants in the clubhouse every single day. So that made me comfortable with like, oh, like this is just, these are our people, these are our people that are coming. They come in the clubhouse every day. And he made me realize that the people that come into the clubhouse every day, because media, there's different types, right? There's like national media where they only show up if there's a big story or there's a game that's super important or whatever. Playoffs, the national media shows up. And then there's the media that shows up, once a homestand, or like Kalashaw will like poke his head in there or something, every once in a while. And then there's the media that comes quite a bit. And then there's media that's there every single day.
Yep.
And you need, like I learned from Mike, that you need to realize that. You need to realize who those people are, and you need to treat them differently. And that's just the way it is. And I learned that from him, that, you were like one of us. You were media, but you were more on our team than like Evan or anybody else. You were part of our team. So to have that relationship, it was comfortable for me. And I think, you're saying that it made you super comfortable. I hope that's still the case when you're around. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So,
I mean, some of the most fun conversations we had, when you would come in when you were with the Tigers or whoever, there was one time it was like me and you and Mark Lowe, and just sat there for like 45 minutes, just cracking up, telling old stories and, all
you
that
sat
kind of
down,
stuff.
you remember that? You sat in the visiting clubhouse, you sat down in that table.
Yeah.
Like we were,
We
were sitting down on the table, like right in the middle of the clubhouse, and everyone was like, what is she doing? Why are they sitting down with her? This is weird. And we're just like cracking up, just telling stupid
laughing.
stories.
Oh
and
my
everyone's
gosh.
like, what is happening right now?
So funny.
Well, as an outsider, because I did like 1.5 seasons covering Rangers, and I was always so excited to talk to you because I'm a Mizzou person too. And I think I told you that probably like 5 or 10 times. But you were always very welcoming as well. And so was Michael Young. But also being a bystander in that clubhouse, it was like, wow, Emily is like, this is her spot. Like, this is her turf. But she was the same way. And I just have to tell you, just other people coming in, you were always so kind and gracious and welcoming to other people. So thank you for that.
Nice.
Because I was just a random like person getting started, and you both were wonderful. The Rangers clubhouse always felt like it did have a really fun vibe.
Yeah,
and I was just kind of like, oh, this would be cool to be like Emily.
It was like super fun in that clubhouse.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Every day. It was something going on.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. So another thing I talked about your honesty, and how that's just the way you've always been since I've known you. And I remember when Michael left, and like everyone was just like, oh, well, okay, now it's Ian.
Who's the face of the franchise?
Right. And you were like, out. You're outski.
Appointed as a leader.
I hate all of you.
You're like, this is not going to happen.
Right.
Like, I don't have any, but that does take some supreme self-awareness to be like, this is not going to be my thing. No matter how much you guys try to push this on me or who thinks it should be my thing, it's not going to be my thing.
Yeah.
How important was that? And how important was it for you to basically come out and say,
Well, it was difficult, honestly, because like I said, I watched Mike, and I was emulating a lot of what Mike did. Like I'm following him. He was the leader. So when I go to the cage or I go to the weight room or I do anything, I'm watching what Mike's doing, and I'm like, oh, that's how you're supposed to do it. Right. So he deals with the media a certain way, and I'm like, oh, that's how you're supposed to do it. And then Mike gets traded, and I'm like, I'm not mature enough for this. I can't do this.
Okay.
I went 0 for 4 and punched out 3 times. Like I'm
I
not
don't
talking to
wanna talk to
anybody.
anybody.
Like, get out of my face.
So Emily, for people that don't know exactly what you're referring to. Okay, so what happened? So Ian basically told.
Oh, he was not. I mean, you could tell that like everybody just kind of automatically deferred.
Right.
To Ian.
that clump in the locker room that's just sitting there, where do we go next?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had a bad, like Emily said, I'm pretty honest.
Yeah.
And that's just how I react, especially when I'm emotional.
I know.
Angry and like we just lost or whatever. So like I know a lot of media probably has a bad taste in their mouth with me because the last 2 years when Mike wasn't there, like I probably said a lot of things that weren't very gracious, you know, like yes and no questions where they're asking to, you know, they want to answer and I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Just like stare at him.
Marshawn lynched him.
Yeah. What else you got for me?
Just doing this because I have to.
So
I just got a
salty.
bad attitude. I just had a bad attitude.
Well, I love that you can say this now. Like
It's so funny, but
it's a lot.
I know it is a lot, but I do love that you're like. It's not like you're now like rolling around. I mean, I think you knew it at the time.
Yeah, I
It's
did.
not
My
like-
dad told me. My dad called me and he's like, your interviews are terrible. I'm like, what are you talking about? Don't talk to me like that.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you didn't pop out 3 times. Get off my back.
Oh yeah, remember that time? Another time when we were yelling at each other, and you told me to stop doing something, and I told you to
Stop flying out. Stop popping out. I was like, oh,
stop
my God.
popping out to the second
said that?
baseman.
I was like, I lost. Emily, I can't say anything.
Jeez, Em, take it easy.
Yeah.
No, but that's how it was.
I went
Stop
for the
popping
jugular.
out.
That's how it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, no punches pulled.
No, it was awesome.
But I love, we were never like mad at each other. I was never like pissed off.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it's fantastic. Like to have a relationship like that is so much fun.
Yeah. It takes time. You got to earn it. You can't just walk in there and be like, hey, nice pop outs today.
Right.
And you're like, who the F are you?
Exactly.
But no, I mean, but you know, like Ian said, I mean, it started with Michael because Michael he was the ruler of that clubhouse and everybody looked to him and took their cues.
Yeah.
And so when Michael was cool with me, and Michael didn't jab for a while, like it took a while for us to get there because
so professional.
because he's so pro.
God,
he's so pro.
How do you get that pro?
So, I mean, like, so heavy.
He
pro.
practices
I mean,
answering questions at night in the mirror. He was like, yes, we worked hard today. We're going to come out tomorrow. We're going to play better.
I remember we were in Toronto, 2000. It might have been 11. It was 11 or 12, and we just got our butts kicked by the Blue Jays. And at the time, the Blue Jays were bad. They were a bad team, and like we just kind of rolling around, weren't really doing anything. I think we lost 2 out of 3, which was unacceptable at that point in the time, And I was fuming hot, like just irate. And I get my food, I'm like throwing it on my plate, and I'm just like pissed off. I
Angry
slam my
eating.
plate down right next to Mike. And it's like these little circle tables right in the middle of the locker room. And I see Mike, and I'm like, oh, Mike's a pro. I got to go over there right now and just vent, right? So I'm like, put my plate down, and he's just eating his food, like nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. And I'm just like, oh, what are we doing? This can't happen. And I'm just like venting to him, and he's just eating his food, and he's just listening to me, and he's like, just take a deep breath. Everything's gonna be okay.
That's so annoying when someone tells you to take a deep breath.
I'm like, no. Oh my God. But that's just how he was, just as an example. He was always just so even.
But what is funny, what's so great about him is that he was so pro, so very pro. But then once he got comfortable with you, and then you got to see the real Michael, the fun, shit talking, all that kind of stuff. That was so fun too, because it's stuff you think pro Michael,
Right.
pro
and then
Michael
he
Young.
throws a
will
zinger
never-
out at you.
Oh, yeah.
So did you feel like that? And now it all makes sense more when you say that you felt like maybe it was time to go when you couldn't perform to the level that you wanted to perform because you were an intense guy. Did you feel like that lasted throughout your entire career and kind of drove you the entire time? Because it is hard to manage when you're playing so many baseball games. Like, did you feel like you were getting up like at the same level, like as far as amped up for each game every single day? Because I know for some players in all sports, that becomes hard to manufacture. Like, especially, I watch a lot of hockey, and it's like you can just tell when the guys don't have it that day because they play so many games. But when you find an athlete with that level of intensity, it is really impressive. So I guess back to that question, did you feel like that was every day for you?
It was until my last year. And I think, looking back on my career, if I see a highlight of myself or just something, you know, when I was in the middle of my career, it feels like it's a different person. Like it just feels like that's crazy that
Really?
I did that. Yeah, that's crazy because you just kind of get soft when you retire. It's just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. But up until my last year, there was always a reason for me to play that particular game, whether it was someone on the other team or a manager on the other team or some, you know, performance has been poor or you're trying to play well for that certain starting pitcher that we have going that day or the guy you're facing or whatever it is. You hate that city that you're playing in.
Yeah.
Or like just whatever it is, there's always a way to motivate myself until that last year. And that last year, you know, I turned into basically a bench player, kind of a role player. And I played with some players in my career that were towards the end that did not, they were just bitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're always bitter and they were mad that they couldn't perform and they were, you know, blaming whatever else. And they just didn't, you know,
Just
like,
trying to write it out in
yeah,
a way.
but still keeping that intensity and they didn't really know how to handle it. And
Right. They weren't channeling it positively.
I saw like veteran players do that on the way out. And I was like, that's one thing I'm never going to be.
Yeah.
So that last year it turned into a little bit more of like a mentor role where I was watching a lot of games from the bench. I wasn't playing and I'm trying to help players see things and, you know, get better. And so I lost my edge a little bit just because I'm not playing every day. And
Makes sense.
The intensity of playing and knowing that you're in the lineup every day and that you wake up, you have to find something to motivate yourself. Just kind of went away. So your question, like every day up until that last year was pretty.
And you just knew it just felt different.
Yeah. So I think that weighed into the decision also of retirement was just,
right.
You know, that edge, like like I said, I wasn't like Josh, you know, I had to play with that edge. I had to play with emotion and a little bit of anger and, you know,
You had a chip.
So
very early on.
Once that went away, it was like, what am I doing? You know, this isn't,
I don't technically need to be doing this if I'm not feeling it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do your kids, I mean, obviously they're old enough to fully appreciate what you did. Do they think it's cool? Are you cool at school? Are you not cool? Are you just another dumb old dad or how's that working out?
When they're at the house, I'm dumb old dad. But when someone, like they see it, you know, they see when people recognize me and say hello and whatever. So I don't know if that makes me cool or not.
Do they think that's cool? Because
I
like
don't know.
Hattie will be like, my mom's famous. And I'm like, if you say that again, I'm going to effing kill you. We do not say that.
That doesn't surprise me about her, though.
And
she wants to be famous.
And then
too.
if somebody will ask to take a picture or something, she'll be like, see, Mom, I told you, you're famous. And I'm like, oh, stop. Please stop. And Henry thinks it's cool because it's baseball.
Right.
But I wonder if if at some point that'll be embarrassing. I mean, I'm sure if they ever saw this podcast, they might be embarrassed.
They're not going to watch this podcast.
No, well, I mean, they can't.
They're not allowed to.
They're not allowed. So there's a
I don't know.
NSFW.
I don't know.
Yeah. Are you the coach? Do they want you to be the coach?
No.
You don't want to?
I coach them, you know.
At home?
Yeah, at home or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So how is it though watching him, because your son does play baseball and he's into it, it sounds like. So how is it watching him play, just sitting there like on the bleachers watching? Are you in his face? Are you?
And does everybody expect him to be a total stud because you're his dad?
Right. How do you balance that?
No, it's hidden pretty well, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the other kids expect or think, but he's a good player, so whatever. But being a spectator is like the hardest thing to do for me.
Oh my gosh, I just thought about this.
Think about that.
Yeah.
You
I
at your
can't
kid's
spectate.
Little League game. Oh my God.
I can't spectate. Everything
Do you try to just
drives
not
me
say
crazy.
anything? Because like once you open it up, it's probably hard to stop.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Like I just try to sit out in the outfield and I'm
going to ask Tess for the schedule so I can come watch and see.
Like after a while, someone's going to be like, who's that creepy guy that sits in the parking lot and never comes in to watch? Like, why is he just watching children?
I'm not good at it either, but I can only imagine how terrible you are at this.
I'm so bad at it.
So do you literally just
like, what are they doing? Oh yeah, they're 9. Oh yeah. They don't even know how to speak English yet.
properly.
Have you tried taking notes like during the game? Maybe you could put notes on your phone and then like process it, decompress.
So I go through waves. Like there'll be times where I'm super chill and nothing really bothers me. And I'm like, this is a 9-year-old baseball game. We can just hang out and watch, and I'll just enjoy the game, and it's fine. And I'll videotape the at bats and like whatever, show them the at bats and just be there. And then there's games where it's just like, what are we doing? This umpire's terrible.
Okay.
What is happening right now?
But you can't say stuff.
No. That's why I sit away.
Right.
Because then also if I sit close and I hear parents' comments on, keep your elbow up, Johnny, or,
Someone like me yelling what I think is advice to my 5-year-old.
Yeah.
You're like, no.
Can we stop?
Keep your elbow up, Johnny.
Can we stop, please?
Like, no, actually, Johnny, that's all wrong.
I know. I will say I'm kind of embarrassed to say I'm the kind of sit back, wait for it, and wait for it, let it get through the zone.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure people are like, shut up. But there a lot of people are.
No, that's
saying
fine.
things.
That's fine. But it's just like when they start. I mean, parents are intense.
Yes.
Like super intense, and it gets like emotional. Like these kids are trying their best. Like, why are you?
Well, and don't you feel like because of the fact that you're a public figure, you can't, it's going to, like, somebody will start videotaping you if you lose your shit.
Oh, if I lose it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ran on the field one time.
Okay.
There's got to
Tell
be
us
video
more.
of this somewhere.
There's no video, but my whole family was there. Like my wife's parents were there. My sister-in-law was there.
Nice.
My sister was there. My parents were there. And it was like a 5-year-old soccer game.
What happened?
I lost it. So I learned my lesson early.
Okay.
This taught me, like, don't ever do that again. But it's pretty funny. So it was like right after the season ended, I go to the soccer game. It's like a 5-year-old soccer game, my son's soccer game, and we're all watching, and the other coach is super intense. Like all he's doing is trying to win the game. He's not out there just to let the kids enjoy soccer
Or teach them the game.
or just whatever. He's yelling at the ref.
Gosh.
And like at 5-year-old soccer, there's no goalie.
Right.
Right.
That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah. They
5-year-old
want
soccer.
like the kids to score.
Yes.
Right. Like
And they still can't score even with no
right.
goal.
And they still can't score. So
Yes.
it makes them feel good, whatever. So this dude puts one of his players right in front of that little box that
That's
you're
cheating.
not allowed to go into. He stands right in front of that box, basically like the goalie. So every time one of our kids gets a fast break or gets a break, gets a chance to score a breakaway, this kid comes out of nowhere, wipes out the ball. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like this is getting, and then our coach gets mad and he's yelling and the guy's like, this is part of the rules. He's not in the box. This is whatever. And I'm freaking, I'm like, it's just turning. And I just got done with the season. So like, I'm still in like
You're amped up.
Yeah, I'm still in competitive mode. So one of their kids gets a fast break and we don't have anybody in front of the thing.
Oh no.
So I'm like, that kid's not scoring. So I run out onto the field and I run right by him. I don't touch the ball or him. Like I just go, like that. And he misses the goal or whatever. And the other coach like freaks out. And I just walk back and I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? And I go back and my dad's like leaning up against this tree. And I just walk straight to my dad and I lean up against the other side of the tree. And he's like, well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
What did Tess say?
Oh my God. Her whole face was so red. Like it was bad. It was really bad.
Did the kid cry?
No, he didn't know what was happening.
Okay.
I just like kind of scared him a little enough where he just didn't kick it into the goal. That was a lesson learned. Like I will never
Alter the outcome of a child's sporting event again.
No, that was so bad.
The fact that you shared that with us makes me so happy.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's hilarious.
I love that when we started this sports talk, you were the one that was like, man, in Texas, things here are so intense.
Right.
And now it sounds like you fall right in line with all of that.
Let me tell you about the time I ran onto the field at my 5-year-old soccer game.
Shouldn't have shared that.
No, we're glad you did. That's what this place is for. We all tell all of our embarrassing stories.
All the stories. Yeah. So I want to talk to you about Warstick, the bat company that you started. I guess it's not just bats anymore, is it? Or is it just bats?
Oh, it's other things.
Yeah.
It's like fly rods. They did they did surfboards and skateboards.
Husband's a huge fly rod guy.
Yeah, we're getting into arrows for like bows for hunting.
I could use a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah.
Everyone needs a bow and
Why
arrow.
not?
Yeah.
Everyone.
I've been thinking about that
But
lately.
you started it with
So I didn't start it. So a guy named Ben Jenkins is the
Okay.
owner. He started it, and we met through a mutual friend. It's probably 2015,
okay.
and we saw eye to eye, and I liked the product, and I liked what he was doing, and it just made sense. And at the time in Detroit, so Jack White, the musician, is a big Tigers fan. So he comes to the spring training every year, and kind of like what Charlie Pride did. He never got into uniform like Charlie, but he was always around.
Yeah.
So I got to know Jack a little bit, and
I'm trying to imagine Jack White in a baseball uniform. Like
That's probably why he didn't wear.
So we play
right.
Sandlot games and stuff.
Okay,
You should
okay,
check it out.
yeah,
Yeah. He's got pictures.
yeah.
Yeah. There's pictures of Jack.
Okay.
And he
I'll
only
look
plays
for it.
first base.
Okay.
He's a first baseman.
Okay.
So I knew Jack, and I knew he was interested in this war stick product that I never heard of, because the owner Ben is telling me that Jack White's interested and all this stuff. So I said, hey, I know this guy. Let's see how much he's interested. Me and Ben, after I agreed to invest in the company, we flew to Nashville to talk to Jack. And then that day he's like, yeah, I'm in, and invested with us. And so it's us three that basically own the company, I guess. But Ben's the one that started it, and he's the owner of the company. So.
Right. And how involved are you? How much more do you want to do business wise? What,
Yeah. What's the rest of your working life look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, business, that side I'm still learning a lot. There's a lot to learn. It's not very easy. I'm trying to learn from Ben. I'm trying to listen to conversations, because we're having conversations with Dick's and Academy and Shells.
Is that here?
No, it's Shields. Yeah, there's
But they're here
there's like a huge one out in Trophy Club. It's
Okay.
a huge sporting goods store. And so I'm listening to these conversations and trying to learn.
Take it all in.
Trying to
Yeah.
pitch in with your business speak and
No.
all the right
I stay
terms.
off
we're
the
going to
field.
circle back here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I stay off the field on that one. But now we have teams and youth teams and stuff like that. So, and we're about ready to finish a building in Deep Elm. Our headquarters in Deep Elm is going to be awesome. It's got a huge cage and a coffee shop, and
Oh, wow.
it's going to be like a whole experience. It's going to be really cool, and I'm going to be around down there a lot. So when there's lessons going on and people, kids are in, families are in, I want to be in and around and involved. So it's just been a lot of fun. Like, really, it's we have guys in the big leagues that use the bats.
Brian Holiday uses it.
Brian
doesn't he?
Holiday uses it. First baseman for the Rangers, Lowe.
For us, Nate Lowe. Yeah.
Nate Lowe uses it right now. And we got, Justin Upton uses it all the time. Castellanos in Cincinnati used it. I don't know if he's using it right now, but I don't know. Baseball players are fickle when it comes to
Oh, really?
yeah.
No idea.
When it comes to bats.
Yeah.
But
when it
no,
comes to
it's-
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you get so set in your ways. Like you said,
Yeah.
yeah. Like Mikey used to have that towel. And
Yeah, weird.
So weird. So pro. Such a pro. such a pro. Man.
Yeah, so it's been the Warsick thing's been awesome, and it's doing really well as a business, and people really enjoy the product. And we have other products, so we would like to get into hockey and start making hockey sticks. And
I know a guy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And if y'all need a little league team in Fort Worth, I know some kids.
Yeah.
You know who's Henry's hitting coach?
no,
Herman Duran.
really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Henry has a hitting coach?
Well, I mean, he goes to lessons.
Okay, so you're hardcore too.
Private.
You're all guilty of this.
Well, I guess so. I guess that makes me hardcore. Yeah, he goes to lessons like once or twice a week.
Okay, that leads me to another question just about kids sports, because mine is younger than y'all's. My son's 5. So right now we're trying to do as much as we can. What do you think about, like, at what point do they branch off into one that they love, and what are you seeing and learning with your son's age kids and as a professional athlete? Like, maybe you have a different perspective on that.
Yeah, I'm just really big on playing all of the sports for as long as you can, until you get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm just not as good at this one. Mm-hmm. The people are passing me at this sport, and I'm better at this sport or whatever. If you can play it, all the way to college, if you can play through high school where you're playing multiple sports, I think that's awesome, because different sports call for different like environment. You know, like basketball, everything's really tight and really close together, and you got to learn how to play in small spaces, and you just become a different athlete. In baseball, it's like you kind of have to think through the game, and it's slower moving, but there's always something to think about. There's always something going on, and then everything happens really fast. And then, you know, soccer is kind of like basketball, but there's way more space, way more running, and like there's vision, right? You have to have like field vision. You have to be able to see across the field in soccer. And basketball, everything's close. So it's just the more things that you play, the better athlete you're going to be. So that's the really what I was talking about as far as youth sports is that it's so specialized now. You know, where some parents or a player, a kid, they just get so stuck on one thing.
Right.
And I think kids get burned out.
Yeah.
You know, by the time they're 14, it's like I've played a weekend tournament for my whole life. The past 4 years, I played 5 games on Saturday and Sunday for my whole life since I was 9 to 12. I don't want to go this weekend.
Right.
You know? And once my kid says, I don't want to go, like,
out.
that's bad.
Outski.
Yeah. So, you know, I would say, just playing at home. Like I try to just play with my son as much as possible. And we tried to keep him out of the organized baseball for as long as we could. Like he didn't do it. And I don't think he started until he was 8.
Okay.
Which I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to wait until he was 9.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm glad that he did. He's on a great team and
he wasn't like behind at that point from.
No, because we played every day.
Okay.
You know, like he could catch, he could throw, he could run, you know, he could hit. He knew all of the things. It's just game's different, right? But they could figure that out so quickly. Once you start playing, they figure it out so quickly. So for me, practice as a young child is so important, like laying the foundation, not necessarily playing the games. You know, that's not necessarily the important thing as a child.
Yeah.
You have plenty of time to catch up.
But it's actually understanding the game and how to do the things within the game. And you can do that without playing every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You've got a game, right? You can do that at home is what you're saying.
Yeah. And if the kid really loves it, he can watch it on TV. I mean, MLB Network is MLB TV or whatever.
Yeah.
There's all the games. Like I can watch all the games every day. You know? So if the kid really loves baseball, he can constantly be watching baseball and learn baseball that way. And, you know, that's what I think.
Yeah. That's really good advice.
I'm starting. So Hattie guilted me. She's like, because I used to coach Henry's basketball team for a couple seasons, and which was also hilarious. And so she's like, me and my friends want to play softball, and remember that time you coached Henry's basketball team, and so it's my turn. And I was like, shit. So we're going to start. So there's like 14 7-year-old girls that don't know a lick about baseball that we're starting this week. Just because I'm like, I got to figure, like,
what are you going to do?
I don't know.
Day one. What's your first
practice, we're going to put we've got a green space in front of our house. I'm going to put the bases out, and like, I'm just going to let's just learn about the field first.
Let's learn about first.
Right.
Then you go here. Then
which way to run.
Yeah. This is how you put on the glove.
Yeah. So it should be, I'm sure. I mean, what could go wrong, right? I mean,
we're going to have a lot of fun conversations here on the show about this.
That's the best time. Yeah. It's like the best time.
And I think it'll be fun. And with a lot of these, you know, I send out the text to the moms and they're like, well, I don't know about Mary, but we'll give it a try, you know? So
that's fun. They want to do it.
I'm sure we'll weed some of them. I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, not we'll weed some of them. I'm sure
some
will be like out. Like,
I don't want to do this.
I don't want any part of this. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Stay tuned for that.
And we talked about how you can watch all kinds of games on TV right now. So you've played for 5 different teams?
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you say that your like fan allegiance stands, if at all? Do you like watching baseball? If so, what do you watch when you do?
I mean, I work for the Padres, so that has to be my fan.
But outside of what you are,
but
what do you think you have to say?
He does watch Ranger games because the other night we were trying to figure something out, like who started the claw on the antlers, and Ian texted me, and I'm like,
that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. Like, are you following the Rangers? Do you follow? Yeah.
Yeah, I like
obviously
watching
the Padres.
Games. Yeah, I watch Rangers games. I watch Tigers games, although they're not very fun, and I watch Angels games because me and Justin Upton became really, really tight. Cool. And I watch Padres games. So those are kind of the games that I watch. And if they're not playing or whatever, then if the game's bad, you know, it's a blowout, then I'll switch to another game and basically just look for the best game available.
But you are
like what's the closest?
Consistently watching baseball?
Yeah, I love baseball. I like watching baseball, yeah.
Okay, last thing before we let you go. I love to tell this story, and I always want to get guys' reactions too when I bring it up if they remember. And I brought it up to Chuck Morgan the other day. Do you remember when we were calling Michael Ranger Man?
Oh,
And Nap made
he
that.
was so mad.
He hated it, and Nap made that.
Superman cape or something. There's like some kind of cape
with a towel, and it had a big R on it. And then remember when he changed his walk-up song to the Superman theme?
Yeah, Nap was not in the dugout. He didn't want to be in the dugout because he saw how mad. Mike
because Pro Mike never really gets riled up.
Yeah, he tried to play it off at first, but then you just saw the steam coming out of his ears. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So Chuck told me that he called him during the game and was like, "What the fuck?
Are you serious?"
Yes.
Yes.
In between innings.
Yes. Like he was not happy. Not happy.
Why did that get under his skin so much?
Because he's pro Mike.
So pro.
You don't do that.
You don't goof around?
You don't mess around like that.
Oh, it was so good though. It was so rich.
Serious business during a game.
That's hilarious.
He was livid. He was so upset.
Like it got to the point where like everyone else was dying laughing on the inside. Everyone just thought it was the most hilarious thing, but we couldn't even like hint at something with Mike. Like you couldn't even say like, remember that time? Like,
I wonder, surely enough time's passed now. It's been like 10 years.
Yeah, he's probably fine now.
He's good now.
But I mean, for 2 months, like you couldn't bring it
You don't
up.
speak of Ranger Man.
No, he was angry.
He shall not be named.
He would get so pissed when I would call him that. I'd call him that in interviews, and he would just be so pissed.
Oh my
and
gosh.
then once he told me, once I knew it pissed him off, then I just wanted to do it even more.
Exactly.
You know?
It was great that it was Nap too, because Nap's so laid back and so chill, and like, nothing really bothers Mike. Napoli. So when he saw, it was just a great like chemistry, the whole situation, because Mike doesn't get bothered by anything, and he's just so laid back and so chill and fun, and Mike was so angry and just.
And you started this?
No,
Ranger Man? I feel like you did.
It was like, what's that movie what's that movie Knocked Up where she's like, bouncer man, like you're just a bouncer guy.
Yeah.
Like that's what you were like with Mike. You were like Ranger Man. You're just Ranger Man.
Just dumbing down his entire career to Ranger Man.
God, he hated me for that.
Well, now I kind of understand why.
But it was just great because Nap's so laid back, and Mike he was never really gets angry, but he was so angry, and Nap didn't know how to handle it. He's like, oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. And I'm like, dude, you're not in trouble. He's your teammate. Just tell him my bad, And he was like, I feel like I'm going to the principal's office.
Oh my gosh.
It was bad.
Good times. When like telling stories like that and all of that. I'm just wondering if you miss it. Do you miss baseball?
Yeah, I miss defense. I don't miss offense.
You don't.
Guys throw like 120 now. It's ridiculous. I don't miss like trying to figure out how to hit that. But I definitely miss like the plane flights and the locker room and just, stories like this. This is where the stories happen. You have a couple stories on field that happen and are super classic, but most of the stories happen in the locker room and on the airplane or in the hotel room with guys, hanging out. That's what you really miss. It's like the relationship part of it. Baseball is great and I love it, and I love playing it. I love being competitive, but when you leave the game, you don't get that in your life. Like you don't get an airplane full of dudes to just hang out with.
Like boys' weekend every night or every
Right.
weekend. Like, no, you're doing your dad's stuff.
Exactly. You don't just get like a weekend where you can play cards and talk trash and act like a little kid.
Right.
So I miss that, but I do miss the game, and I like the game. I just do not miss trying to hit. It got so difficult at the end. It's just your body doesn't move as fast.
Yeah.
And their pitchers start throwing harder, and the sliders are just stupid. It's like I don't miss the grind of going to the cage every day trying to figure out how to hit that.
Right. Once you think you figured something out, it's like, well, crap, I got to do this all over again.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, thank you so much. This was so
I
fun.
know.
It's
So fun.
Great. It's always great to catch up with you. I'm lobbying for. Surely we're going to do some kind of reunion at some point soon. We couldn't do it last year because of COVID, but with that, those the
yeah.
2011 team, 2010 team, whatever. But because those were some fun clubhouses.
Those are some times.
They were. Well, thanks so much for being with us. Tell Tess and the kids I said hello.
I will.
Please.
Thank you, Ian, and thanks for coming in studio.
You're welcome.
It's so fun having
Thanks for
you
having
here.
me.
Day off the
Appreciate
soccer
it.
fields.
Never again.
Oh, we have to do our sign out. So
Yeah.
we do, at the end of every episode, we do the peace sign and say "Mom game out." 1, 2, 3.
Mom game out.